I'm going to need a sync that. Wait, you cough again.
I'll make yours bigger though.
For the past 25 years, Sacha Baron Cohen has been using the facades of a wannabe rapper, Kazakhstani news reporter, and a gay fashion reporter to reflect society's fears. Speaking as himself for once, he said that playing a racist character allows him to lull people into a false sense of security and expose their own racist beliefs. Today we're going to ask why he's doing all of this. During this presentation, our argument will be that Sacha Baron Cohen uses these facades to slowly break America.
But first, a little bit about the man behind all the masks. Certainly early in his career, Baron Cohen's brand sharply contrasted that of Bruno's, for example. In a 2016 article written by journalist and author Paul Alonso, he described Sacha Baron Cohen thusly: for several years, Baron Cohen rarely gave interviews out of character and referred to his private life. His initial rejection of fame and celebrity might be related to the autonomy that he gave to his characters, who appeared in a wide range of public events and media outlets.
It was only after Bruno, a character who had an obsession for fame, that Baron Cohen started giving interviews out of character. We're going to focus on Cohen's film and television work to unpack how he used these reprehensible characters as a facade to uncover his interviewees' own misogynistic, racist, and homophobic beliefs. We'll be looking at articles written about Baron Cohen, John Caldwell's book, Production Cultures and Personal Branding by Kelly Sarah. James will be starting us off back in 1997 with the emergence of Ali G, with focus on 90s hip-hop and black culture. Tom will then talk to us about Borat and how he managed to shake up post 9/11 America. Stephen will talk us through Bruno and how he managed to uncover homophobia and falsehood of celebrity in Los Angeles. In using these different faces, our argument is that Cohen's brand speaks to Cohen's career trajectory and how he used his brand to slowly break America, culminating in Bruno, in which Baron Cohen goes full meta and has a character try and break America himself. So, over to you, James.
It's 1997. Sacha Baron Cohen is just starting his on-screen career as Ali G, the voice of the youth reporter for the 11 o'clock show on Channel 4. Despite the title, I believe Ali G was created to embody all of the fears the public had for the youth at the time. Ali G as a character has been described by the man himself as too stupid to really exist. He's a wannabe gangster who takes all the worst worldviews from 90s rappers, misogyny, as well as casual views on drugs and violence, are all part of this character. I'm going to be looking at the costume of Ali G and how it shows Baron Cohen creating a brand for this character to be received in a particular way by the UK and then eventually the American audience. Caldwell, an academic in the field of TV and film, believed that clothing was very important in the media world. As he states in his book, Production Cultures, uniform connotes rank and or specialization, a function appropriate in the hierarchical structure of Hollywood. This is a concept I'm sure Sacha Baron Cohen was familiar with as he worked as a TV presenter leading up to the creation of Ali G. But what can the costume of Ali G tell us about his brand? I believe it's clear through Ali G's clothing, and this example I'm going to throw up on screen now, that he's associated with hip-hop, specifically the British adaptation of American hip-hop culture. I say this because Baron Cohen stated that Ali G was partly inspired by the legend of UK hip-hop, Tim Westwood. A man that has spoken openly in the past about being criticised for adopting parts of American black hip-hop culture, specifically the slang, which is a bit strange for an upper-middle-class white man from the UK to be doing. This is behaviour that is also displayed by Ali G, and I believe this creates a brand of a character that is associated with hip-hop culture but is ultimately incompetent. Richardson, in the journal article Rap Music and Its Violent Progeny, states, "Gangster rap gained notoriety in part due to its misogynistic themes and encouragement of hypermaterialism." As we can see in this picture, Ali G is wearing a Wu-Wear jacket, which is expensive official merchandise of the Wu-Tang Clan, a hip-hop group so popular and influential, even the BBC have an article entitled How the Wu-Tang Clan Revolutionized Hip-Hop. The Wu-Tang Clan were extremely successful and had violent lyrics in songs such as Cutting Heads and The Mystery of Chess Boxing. We can see that this hypermaterialism is also is on display with the comically large chain he's wearing, which contrasts nicely with the relatively small gun Ali G is holding. which could imply Ali G's shortcomings as a character through his costume. Notice the colour of Ali G's costume. He's always in yellow, as this is the colour of the West Side Stains Massive. This costume choice obviously takes influence from the real-life West Coast, East Coast American hip-hop argument, which has been ongoing ever since the creation of rap music, and is an ongoing argument still. In this image, we can read R.I.P. Tupac, which is clearly a reference to the murder of the famous LA rapper Tupac Shakur. His murder was linked closely with gang violence in hip-hop culture at the time. This is something I learned from the podcast on Apple Music, The Dark Side of East Coast and West Coast Rap. In his life, Tupac was no stranger to controversy due to his thug life philosophy towards things and how he expressed that through his music. I believe that these connections between Ali G, Tupac, and the violent and misogynistic aspects of hip-hop culture were deliberate choices by Baron Cohen. I believe he wanted to have a similar brand to these rappers like Tupac in order to gain a similar reaction of controversy from an American audience. Cohen shocked with Ali G, not by posing with fake guns and chains, but instead by having a character that appealed to the youth and was associated with all of these sort of dangerous ideas. This worked for Baron Cohen, as in The Guardian, he spoke about nearly being killed, arrested, and starting riots whilst in character for Ali G. I feel like because of Baron Cohen's ability to write such absurd characters unchanged from the transition from a late-night UK TV show all the way to the silver screen in 2004, shows how affecting his branding is and the way his characters are enjoyed by the audience. I'd say Baron Cohen's own brand would include adopting different cultures for his role, something he also did for your case study, Tom, Borat.
Alright, before I talk about this character, I need to mention the time that this hit the big screen. Post 9/11 America. Obviously, this is not a good time for America. The war on terror was almost at its peak. From this, there was only one thing Cohen could really do, and that was create Borat. The Kazakhstan TV presenter is a prime example of people letting their guard down to expose their own beliefs. Cohen said in an interview with Independent that Borat was created as a tool to expose people's prejudice. Kelly Serra says, in high-profile fields, as professionals in which the individual himself represents both the brand and the product, it may make sense for him to represent himself entirely, creating an alter ego that is larger than life. The character Borat doesn't stretch too far from Ali G, in a way that both characters have similar beliefs on things such as women and masculinity, as they're both straight men. However, Borat plays hard with stereotyping to mock how American audiences viewed foreign countries at this time. He also says in the same interview, the joke is on people that believe that the Kazakhstan I describe can actually exist, where homosexuals wear blue hats and women live in cages. His simplistic character becomes recognizable with a small afro and a mustache. The character design fits the American vision of typical Middle Easterns, but it's not just the way Cohen has Borat look, it's the way he has him behave. The character builds for breaking America for Baron Cohen by exposing racism and homophobia problems. This is clearly represented in the box office numbers. This film brought in $256 million, opposed to Ali G, which only brought in $25.6 million. The example I like for this is the scene where he's mocking the Americans about their biggest fear, the war on terror. He's sucking up to them, but at the same time he's in complete control of their behaviour towards him. And this is before he's even started talking to them. And from this, he can change their reaction towards him with barely any effort.
Can I say first, we support your war of terror.
He makes a small speech where he says he supports the war on terror. And the Americans get rolled up at the thought of George Bush drinking the blood of men, women and children in Iraq. And then he turns it on his head by mocking the national anthem, which obviously doesn't go down too well with them.
George Bush drink the blood of every single man, woman and child of Iraq. Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world. All other countries are run by little girls.
But to me, this shows the power Cohen has in this character. Cohen does more than taunt the war of terror for America. He exploits the problems of homophobia and feminism. There's better examples of this with his character Bruno, which Steve will now talk about.
Baron Cohen's next character embodies how his brand might have just changed the most so far. The aim of Bruno was to take down celebrity culture, poke fun at toxic masculinity, and to shine light on everyday homophobic activities. But ultimately, Bruno was Baron Cohen's next step for his own personal brand, commenting on LGBT communities in America after his first 2 successes. Bruno is an Austrian gay fashion journalist who is incredibly shallow but doesn't know it. After he disrupts a fashion show and becomes despised in the European fashion world, he moves to LA, where he intends to do anything it takes to become a celebrity. Anything from making a sex tape to trying to negotiate peace in the Middle East. Baron Cohen says, "Yeah, definitely, because I knew early on, and I didn't really have it with the other characters, where Borat was more lovable, he could say the most vicious, anti-Semitic, homophobic, sexist things, and people would go, oh no, we don't say that. But with Bruno, they would get actively angry, and so that I knew it was exciting for me to perform and I knew it was entertaining to watch." Populism in toxic masculinity in America at the time was prominent and eventually led to a crisis in masculinity. A quote from Foldy says, "Men find themselves in an unfamiliar world where male worth is measured only by participation in a celebrity-driven culture awarded by Lady Luck." Baron Cohen succeeds in poking fun at ridiculousness of toxic masculinity when Bruno tries to become straight by doing so-called manly things like hunting and becoming a member of the US National Guard. Doing this, Baron Cohen somewhat triggered these men into reacting negatively to what he was doing and revealed their fear into diversity and allowing participation into their groups. It's the treatment of homophobia, and on the other hand, leaves something to be desired. At the time of filming, gay marriage was not legal in the States. Baron Cohen uses his character to help tackle or expose what is going on with the leaders in the country at the time. In using irony to ridicule gay male stereotypes the way he does, Bruno arguably ends up reinforcing those stereotypes as much as, if not more than, it shines a light on everyday homophobic attitudes and behaviours. This is shown when he interviews the politician Ron Paul, a Republican, and exposes homophobic views and policies. Another quote from Sarah says, "These branding campaigns tend to be particularly memorable because their creators, by the very nature of their brand identity, become the stars of their own created universe." This quote from Sarah really helps us understand Bruno and what it meant for Sacha Baron Cohen's brand. Bruno was the most outrageous character of the 3, and the very nature of the character that Bruno was cementing his brand identity as the man who was outrageous and did not conform to society, and also tried to confront them at the same time. Doing this, Bruno has become one of the stars of his own universe, the film one, and the real world. Across all 3 characters, Sacha Baron Cohen has seamlessly become memorable for the 3 characters and their opinions.
To conclude, I think it's clear that Baron Cohen has managed to break America, not only in these 3 outings, but in his latest offering, Borat's subsequent movie film. The target audience that Baron Cohen has managed to resonate with the most is liberals. The people he opposes are mostly illiberal and mostly Republicans. In this year's Borat 2, Baron Cohen directly takes on Trump, with the release date coming just weeks before the election. Although the plot doesn't see him directly take on the highly guarded president, he does take on some of his closest consorts. Firstly, the Vice President Mike Pence, and then Trump's best pal, Rudy Giuliani. And you can argue that Baron Cohen succeeded, with Joe Biden winning the election, making this the crown jewel of Baron Cohen's illustrious America-breaking collection. I want to thank everyone for listening, and for you 3, and us 4, for coming and saying their bit.
Yeah, well, I've been James Tobin.
Tom Glasswell. It's been a pleasure.
I've been Stephen Berry.
And I've been Sam Hayward. Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Lovely.
Right. Oh, I don't know.
We have 10 minutes.